All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar brought to you by OPI Systems. My name is Michelle Allison, and I'm the publisher of Top Crop Manager. I'm joined today by Dave Crompton, Kent Wingert, Zach Konchuk from OPI Systems. Today, during our session, our speakers will discuss how to protect, connect, and optimize the value of your stored grain, touching on such topics as challenges of monitoring and conditioning grain, best management practices to maximize your ROI, solutions available to cost effectively manage and protect your grain, as well as OPI Blue and Blue Seed. Thank you very much to OPI Systems for sponsoring our session today, as well as participating in Harvest Hub as a presenting sponsor. You can find more information from the Harvest Hub, which is a week 100% focused on harvest best practices, safety, and storage at topcropmanager.com/harvest-hub. And for even more information about the solutions that OPI Systems offers by visiting www.advancedgrainmanagement.com. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available to all attendees and registrants approximately 24 hours after our live broadcast. This session is scheduled to run for approximately 20 minutes, and following the presentation, we'll open the floor for questions. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please type them into the Q&A tab found on the bottom panel of the webinar screen. Without further ado, Dave, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michelle. Great intro and welcome. We've got folks tuning in from across Canada, the United States, and as far as Pakistan. So thank you very much for coming out to participate in hopefully what will be a informative and interesting event. So without further ado, the presenting team today consists of myself, Dave Crompton, co-founder and CEO of OPI. And by the way, apologies if you're having to look at my nasal hairs, but apparently my audio is not that great, so I have to speak closely into the microphone. I'm going to be joined by, I'll do a quick intro and background of the company, and then I'll turn it over to Kent Wingert, our product manager, who's going to talk about some of the challenges around storage and how we can help solve those challenges with our technology. And then we'll have Zach, our Canadian sales account manager, jumping in at the tail end to round things off. So again, welcome. And okay, Kent, we'll move on. So OPI, yeah, what are we about? It's really specifically around protecting, connecting. If you want to just go back there, Kent, a slide backwards, thanks. Yeah, protecting, connecting, optimizing the value of your stored grain. We think we're talking to a largely farm audience today. We could have some commercial storage practitioners. Welcome as well if you are. Stored grain is stored grain, a lot of the same principles. So welcome to both the farm and commercial audience. Yeah, okay. So now a little bit about OPI. Yeah, we've been around for 37 years. We're proud to say we've been an industry leader. We've pioneered a lot of technology. We continue to constantly innovate. We've got around 25,000 customers globally in around 71 countries with our various solutions. A lot, the largest number in the farm market with our handheld monitoring system. Kent will talk about StormX in a bit. We support about 40 or more different varieties of crop, both for the monitoring and the management of those stored commodities. Okay, so the three basic pillars of our value proposition are around peace of mind, best practices, and ROI, return on investment. When we say peace of mind, OPI, the whole genesis of our company, is the old adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Grain can spoil in storage. It's biotic, it respires. You can lose value through shrink. You could ultimately have spoilage in the worst case scenario. So that's the first basic tenet, is to avoid any kind of degradation and ultimately loss of value. The second piece we'll get into around best practices on how OPI and storage management fits into a modern management practice, production and storage to marketing set of practices. And lastly, around return on investment, we're talking about how we can help optimize the value of the store commodity, optimizing moisture content as a key value driver, optimizing grade and quality, being able to manage the specific quality parameters, as well as being able to be efficient in operating costs as far as reducing energy inputs, whether it be gas for drying or electricity for conditioning, whether it be fumigation, whether it be manpower, basically the combination of optimized quality and reduced operating costs to really turn your storage into a profit center, not just a vessel to hold grain, but actually, drive value-added profit into your operation. Thanks, Ken. We really see ourselves as an integral part of the overall value chain. We have upstream technology around production agriculture, whether it's precision ag or whether it's just optimizing what your crop output is, managing it throughout the storage process, starting with the drying, conditioning, storage of grain, and then tying into the downstream marketplace. How do we connect optimized quality to market premiums? So that's where we see ourselves as fitting into the overall agricultural value chain. And with that, Kent, I think I will turn it over to you to talk about storage challenges and how we might be able to help your operation in that way.
Thanks, Dave. So I'm going to touch on storage challenges here, and it's interesting because I've been in the ag space now with OPI for 10 plus years. And as technologies are getting introduced into the market space, I'm still hearing a lot of the exact same challenges come up from producers. So I just want to touch on them, and then I'm going to get into some of the solutions that we have to some of these challenges. So when we talk about some of the challenges that we have, and I hear this over and over, again, a lot of these challenges are because there's so many sites and so many bins out there that don't have systems in them. So when growers are putting grain in storage, they have limited visibility or no visibility in some cases to the grain in storage. So you hear growers talk about all the time that, well, what do you do to manage the grain once it's in storage? How do you know whether it's in condition or not in condition? Without that visibility in there, to the temperature and the moisture conditions of the grain, it's very limited to what you can achieve and the information that you actually have. So you're actually presenting a challenge to yourself in the results that you're able to achieve. We hear a lot of times that a lack of knowledge or a lack of visibility gives a lack of information. So we're looking by getting systems in place. We're providing data to producers of the grain in storage. And with that data, that's an accumulation of knowledge. If you know the quality of the grain that's in the bin, you know the temperature, you know the moisture, and you have that information, you're able to take action and make the necessary decisions, whether it's mitigating hotspots, whether it's managing moisture, mitigating shrink, different areas in the conditioning stages. We want to get that data and we want to get that information in your hands to be able to have the knowledge to make the actionable decisions to optimize the condition of the grain or maintain and optimize the condition of the grain. If you don't have visibility and you don't have the data to make those decisions, most of the time you're going to make insufficient grain conditioning decisions. If you don't have the information, you don't know exactly what the condition of that grain is. So when do I turn my fans on? When do I turn my fans off? Those are decisions that are key to conditioning your grain effectively and efficiently. And if you don't have that information, a lot of times you're going to be running the fans at ineffective times where the condition of the air that you're bringing into the grain mass is not going to drive towards your desired moisture targets. It's not going to dry the grain efficiently and effectively. So essentially, you end up wasting energy and utility costs So we want to make sure that in the solutions that we provide, that we are bringing solutions that are effective and efficient to conditioning the grain. Also, with a lack of visibility, we see an uncertainty of the condition and quality in the end result. I mean, growers will take obviously samples from the bin. They'll get an understanding of what the moisture is, but keeping in mind that that is a small sample for the entire amount of grain that is in storage. So with systems and solutions that we offer, we're giving you a much greater picture to what's going on inside the bin based on the temperature data, based on the moisture quality of that grain in storage. So we're taking a lot of uncertainty out along that conditioning path, which is going to give you a more certainty in the end result that you're getting based on quality and obviously moisture, target moisture that you're trying to reach. And ultimately, it comes down to the bottom line. You're in the business of making money, and we want our products and services to obviously have a good return on investment. We want to be as efficient and effective as possible to minimize costs, and also things like shrink. We want to make sure that we can mitigate things like shrink that'll take money off the table and put that money in your pocket. So it's about optimization. So those are a few of the challenges. And when we talk about our solutions, we look at how can we mitigate with the solutions that we offer? How can we mitigate these problems to connect, to optimize the condition of the grain? So the solutions that we offer currently right now, at the base level, we have a StormX monitor. It's a handheld monitor. It works with our cables. Our digital cables work across all our platforms that I'm going to talk about. It is a low-cost, easy entry into grain monitoring. It is intended for small to mid-size farms with the smaller to mid-size bins. And you have to go up to the bin, connect the monitor in to get your moisture and temperature readings. One of the products that we've spent a lot of time over the last few years developing and working on and growing in the feature set and the benefits that the product bring is our OPI Blue product. So it's a cloud-based product. The thing that some of the benefits that it brings is remote connectivity. So any device that has an internet connection and a web browser, you can connect to your grain storage bins and monitor them from anywhere in the world. There's a lot of flexibility. It can be seen as a monitoring only to where you add cables, or if you're looking for full automation, you can also add additional hardware in there and get the automated fan and heater control as well, which further increases the efficiency. Lastly, and I won't spend a lot of time on this, it's been around for about a decade now. We have our Integris Pro. It is a PC-based system. It is meant for larger operations. We see a lot of commercial operations that use this software. It does have full fan control and a few other bells and whistles. Ultimately, we would like to take some of the remaining features within Integris Pro and move them into Blue so it becomes a solution for the entire market. Our cables, so we have 3 lines. We have a temperature cable and 3 different engineered specs on that temperature cable. We have the MDR cables, which are typically for the on-farm market, up to 80 feet in length. We have a commercial duty retractable cable when you start to get into more commercial, larger structures, and it's good with a range from 50 to 130 feet. And then ultimately for the largest applications, we have an HDR cable with an application range from 100 to 140 feet. All these cables come depending on the application and the size, with sensor spacings between 4 feet for the on-farm market and 6 feet for commercial applications. One of the benefits of these cables as well, besides obviously providing the temperature data, is that they are retractable. So just think of the dipstick on your car when you're checking your oil. The sensing element with the temperature sensors on it actually is retractable, and you can pull it out of the cable. So if there are any field issues with it, you don't have to remove or purchase a whole new cable. It's just as simple as pulling out and replacing the sensing element. So that's a great in-field feature there. Then we talk about our moisture cables. So right now it's an exciting time for us. We have our current moisture cable, which is actually up to a range of 85 feet. It's been around since 2011. It's about providing temperature and moisture data for the grain in storage. Depending on how many or how big the application is, based on the bin diameter, it would determine how many moisture cables are in the bin. Typically for small bins, there's a single moisture cable down the center, and then as the bin size grows, there would be an additional moisture cable on the radius. It's exciting for us right now too that we are in some doing some development work right now to improve the robustness of the moisture cable, and we're just getting to the testing stage. So it's very exciting for us that we're looking in a not too distant future with coming out with a new moisture cable that will be more robust and will actually allow us to service some of our customers in applications where the length of cable is over the current 85-foot limit. So very exciting for us right now. When it comes to our main platform, OPI Blue is our main platform. Again, we talk about scaling to the application and the needs of your business. Right now, we have three options. We have an option within our OPI Blue platform that has no hardware investment at all. We have a monitoring option, which would have a little bit of hardware, a gateway, some cable nodes, and some cables that would allow you to monitor your bin, both temperature and moisture. And then we also have full automation. So this is monitoring plus we have some control algorithms and stuff in place that allow you to control the fans and heaters and really truly optimize how you condition the grain. OPI Blue Monitoring, it provides hourly temperature and moisture data, depending on how many cables you have in there. So you're getting consistent, regular cadence on the data that is getting in front of you. We try and make it as simple as possible. Obviously, the color scale allows you to quickly identify high moisture areas or high temperature areas. And another thing that we have too, we realize that you can't necessarily be in front of your laptop or your phone all the time monitoring what's going on. So depending on the parameters that are set, we also have high temperature and rate of change alarms to just push out alerts. Those alarms come in the system, and then you also get text messages and email alerts as well to notify you. There's historical temperature and moisture data, which is really good, especially when you're conditioning the grain, to not only see where your starting point was, but as you continue to condition the grain, it's neat to see and valuable to see how the drying front works its way down through the bin. As the air comes through and starts to dry the lower levels, you can actually see the drying front move through the grain mass and work its way up towards reaching your target moisture and temperature. So there's good value there with the historic data as well. Blue Automation, so it's taking monitoring to the next step. You're adding a little bit more hardware, and then you're controlling the fans with our automated control algorithms. We have natural air drying currently, natural air drying with heat, and then aeration control settings that allow you to set your targets and your operating windows. And then the system goes ahead using the data and information it comes in, like I said, to optimize those controls, only running the fans and or heaters when conditions warrant that it's going to drive towards your target. So it's really effective and really efficient, much more so than flipping your fans on manually and just letting them run for days on end. So there's very high value in our control, OPI Blue control algorithms and the fan control. It also tracks fan and heater operation by bin. So you can see how long fans have been running for cumulatively. It lets you track the conditions as you're continuing to condition. You can see, like I said, either historically or as the moisture changes within that bin. So there's a lot of value there and visibility that you're getting that you wouldn't have if you didn't have a system. This is one of the last pieces I'll touch on here as far as our solutions go, and it's something we're really excited about. I mentioned earlier how we have a solution now that has no hardware investment. So what we've done within our OPI Blue platform is we've created a tool that allows a grower to go in and create sites and bins. And from there, with virtual weather data or manual weather inputs from the grower, determine what the EMC is, so the equilibrium moisture content. The calculator or the tool gives you an output, and that gives you data to make decisions on when you're drying your grain right now, whether or not the condition of the grain versus the condition of the air is conducive to be running the fans. So it's not quite as good because there is some manual intervention there as having a fully automated system. However, it's getting data in front of you as a grower. It's allowing you to make more informed decisions based on what your grain target or what your desired outcomes are. And then you can make better fan control decisions based on those outputs. So we're really excited about it. It's something that, like I said, it's just been released. So it's a beta release right now. With harvest just around the corner, we are looking for growers who don't have systems to go in there. If you're interested, to sign up, create an account and sign up. I am going to put a link in the chat. If you are interested in signing up, just click on that link in the chat. It'll take you to this form that's shown on the screen. You can sign up and put your information in there, and then we'll get in touch with you and get you into the system, get you set up on OPI Blue. Because it is in the beta stage, we are also really looking for feedback from any users that we have in there. So we would love to also not only get you signed up, get you using the tool, experiencing the benefits of the tool to meet your conditioning needs, but we'd love to get in touch with you and get your feedback and your impressions. So if you're interested, like I said, you can click on the link that's in the chat, or you can go directly to www.managedgrain.com and go ahead and create an account and start using the tool. Dave, I will pass it back to you now.
Thanks, Kent. Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, just to put some perspective on, the level of investment and how to drive the return on that investment. We've got a simple chart here that compares the various types of systems we've talked about. Kent talked about our StormX handheld, that's the green line, blue monitoring only, monitoring alarms, and blue monitoring alarms with fan control, and then the Integra system. And we've broken it down into cents per bushel. It's an easy way to think about it. And we look at it from a standpoint of, 100,000 bushels up to 1 million bushels of storage. So wherever you might fit. For example, if you're 200,000 bushels of storage, and this is based on an average of 4 bins, this price does not include shipping, taxes, and installation. It's just a general indication, the level of each system. So the blue fan control, for instance, at 200,000 bushels, it's going to be around, 11 cents a bushel, which works out to about $22,000. That would be the initial investment with a very small operating cost of a subscription of around $500 per year. To put that in perspective, if you've got $8 bushel grain, $1.6 million of total storage, 1% of shrink is about $16,000. So, in the first year and a half, you've paid for the system basically just through better control of moisture content. And that's just one of the value drivers we're talking about. So very quick payback if you use it as a management tool to drive better profitability out of your storage through increased grain value and or operating efficiencies. And but a small investment for an essential component that will live the life of, the 10, 20-year life of your storage. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Zach to wrap it up.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for the information on the ROI. So I just wanted to reach out to any Alberta farmers or Alberta dealers that are on this call. And I want to say we're participating and partnering with Lethbridge College and the Alberta Wheat Commission and many others, as you can see down below. And we're looking to do a grain drying trial within Alberta. And if you have an OPI Blue system or another system, please reach out to me and we'd love to get you signed up. And if you don't have a system, we have the ability to give you a 20% discount on that OPI Blue system going forward. There's not a lot involved other than getting the OPI Blue hardware into your system or into your farm, and allowing Lethbridge College access to your system. So it's a great program for us to advance our knowledge on grain drying in bin with heaters, high temp grain drying, and natural air drying. So if you're at all interested, please feel free to reach out to me, which my contact info will be at the end. And if you have any questions right now, please feel free to reach out about that, and I can help answer those questions on the grain drying program. Thanks.
Thank you, Zach. All right, without further ado.
If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out about anything that we talked about today.
Great. Thank you guys for the great presentation. Zach, if you wouldn't mind, just throw your contact information there. That's perfect. Or even throw it in the chat, or if there's any website that they could look at for more information on that grain drying trial, that would be wonderful. So yes, thank you again for your great webinar. So we have just a couple questions here, and if anybody has any other questions, please throw them in the Q&A panel and we can address them. First question here is, so based on the high level pricing mentioned, yet you've got great achievable results. It seems like a wise decision to put the system in place, but there's a lot of farmers and bins that don't have the equipment in them. So why is that? And what obstacles do you think are preventing some farm operations from including it?
Do you want to speak to that, Dave, or?
Well, yeah, we could both chime in, or we could all chime in on that one. It's a big question. I've been at this thing for 37 years, and if I got a dollar for every time someone said, "Geez, I wish I had your system," I spoiled a bin of grain, I just go, "Wow," that's a travesty. We're talking about a pretty small cost of insurance here, and yet there's a lot of bins that are left unprotected. And I think a big part of it is just operating by habit. Maybe what your father, your grandfather might have done in their practice, but those are much smaller bins, and as bins get way larger, when we're pushing what we're trying to do in storage, we need stronger tools. So I think maybe it's sort of it's a habit that sometimes is hard to break if you have a certain kind of program that you're running by. Maybe the fear of technology a little bit too. As much as people want to have everything on their technology, on their phone, on their mobile technology, sometimes it could be a little bit daunting. And I think that we haven't done as good a job as we could on really getting the message out and marketing it. So otherwise, yeah, it's always the $64 question that we ask.
Okay, thank you. The StormX monitor, it has been around for quite a while. So do you have any plans to update that and make it more current?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question as well. The StormX monitor has been around 20 plus years, and surprisingly enough, maybe it still is a big seller. It's very popular. It's fairly simplistic, but we also recognize, based on the older technology and how things have progressed, that we do want to update it. So we are taking a look at some options We also understand that, I mean, the StormX monitor is a standalone tool right now that operates just and contained within itself. So we think there's real benefit in coming up with something that will get customers more connected. Having a handheld replacement that actually feeds into the OPI Blue platform that I talked about earlier, I think is something that would benefit not only the grower with the connectivity piece and being able to access the data and information in a much simpler form rather than having to go bin side to get readings on an ongoing basis. So it is something that we are actively working towards. So yeah, stay tuned.
Perfect. Okay, I've got 2 more questions here from the audience. Will their data be secure on the cloud platform? Any comments on data security?
Yeah, so that, I mean, I think when we first moved into a cloud-based platform a number of years ago, that was a question that came up over and over and over again because it was fairly new to the market, having data stored on a server. So you need to have all the checks and balances in place to make sure that that data is secure. I mean, we partner with Amazon Web Services, which is one of the biggest companies as far as server and cloud-based services. So we have their backing as far as data security goes. We also take every precaution on our side to make sure that all the secured features and stuff are in place. I mean, it's like anything. I would say you can put your money in a bank and lock it in a vault and everything is secure, but there's always that potential risk. But I think we've checked all the boxes, both internally at OPI and with the partnerships that we have on the data storage side to make sure that we've mitigated and minimized any potential risk to a customer's data.
Okay, perfect. And I think the last question we've got here is, can you comment on what sets you apart from your competitors?
Sure. Zach, do you want to take a shot at that?
Sure, absolutely. So what sets us apart from our competitors? The one biggest thing is being our fan control. We provide, comparing ourselves to one of our main competitors, BinSense, we offer our fan control algorithms and our grain curves that we have developed for our fan control algorithms are outstanding. And BinSense doesn't offer any of the fan control options that we can offer. They have the ability to turn their fans on and off, yes, but what we have the ability to automate your fans and not only improve your return on investment, but also save on time and labor and power as well. That's a big thing. Then the other thing that sets us apart from our competitors is our UI. Our OPI Blue UI is one of the best around. If you look at side by side to BinSense or AGI SureTrack, you can find ours is very much more user friendly and much more user friendly and simpler to understand.
I think I'll just add to what Zach said as well. I mean, when I think of the competitors, and there's a number of competitors out there, and there's a lot of good stuff that's happening, I think, in the ag space, not just within storage management, but all over, and new technologies come in. But I think one thing that really sets us apart is our experience. I mean, OPI has been around for 37 plus years. We come from a farm background. So, I mean, Dave used to farm. That's where he started out and recognized a need for solutions in regards to grain storage management. So a lot of the stuff that we've done throughout our history is like pioneering. Obviously, Dave didn't invent temperature, but bringing temperature into in-grain or in-bin monitoring, bringing moisture into in-bin monitoring. A lot of times we're at the cutting edge and we're first to market in a lot of that stuff. And when you think of that longevity and that experience, we've got quite a good brand recognition in the field as well. Like the OPI Blue Cables have been around for 20 plus years. They're recognizable. So I think there's a really good brand recognition based on that longevity and that experience and the success that we've had over nearly 40 years.
And something else I'll just add to finish up is that we have the most complete set of solutions. All of our cabling and sensing systems fit at whatever level. If you invest in a handheld, you can move up to a Blue, for instance. And we're building a really broad ecosystem of partners. So we're very open in connecting to all the various systems. So your other farm management tools will connect seamlessly. So we're really building that overall partnership ecosystem. I think that's a very distinct differentiator between OPI and what else is out there.
Perfect. Well, thank you all very much for your wonderful presentation. And if any attendees have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of their speakers today or visit their website, advancedgrainmanagement.com, for more information. And again, thank you to everybody for tuning in today. And don't forget to visit topcropmanager.com/webinars to view this webinar on demand and any of our other previously recorded webinars. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.